meeting to the floor. Okay. Welcome everybody to the council meeting. We're a little bit late on the caucus meeting, but we had some good questions. And I hope I didn't come across a little bit too strong, but again, I'm trying to express, get the meeting over and done with. And I do wish that everybody be heard, but a lot of people disagree with the way things go. So, but anyway, I would like to call to order the council meeting of March 8th, 2021 at 7:08 p.m. Barb, would you take the roll call?
Dudley?
Yes.
Donahue?
Here.
Nenadovich?
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis?
Here. I'm sorry,
Blake?
yes.
Yes, I heard you. Thank you.
Yes.
Blake? Mr. Blake? Yes.
Yes.
Tagliarini?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Vaughn votes yes.
Thank
All
you,
right.
council. But thank you, council members. That meeting starts with the 7 yes votes. Okay, getting on to tonight's business. Before we go to the reading and disposal of minutes, I would like to make a motion to add to the agenda the election of council president pro tem, and I would like to place that right after the mayor's report. Do I get a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Donahue. Barb, would you take the roll call, starting with myself?
Nenadovich?
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Tagliarini?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley?
Dudley, you vote yes.
Dudley?
Vote yes.
Donahue?
Yes.
Thank you, Barbara. That's a 7-0 passes. Okay. We need to dispose of the minutes for the February 22nd, 2021 meeting, which was a Monday, as written. Do I hear a second on that? I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tom. On the motion to accept the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 22nd, 2021, Barb, would you take a roll call, starting with myself?
Nenadovich?
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Tagliarini?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Tom Vaughn, yes.
Dudley?
Yes.
Donahue?
Yes.
Thank you, Barb. The minutes stand as read and passed 7-0. Okay. Special council meeting, legislative meeting. Well, that's for the two different meetings. That goes there. Okay. Barb, I know we have 3 pieces of communication. Do you know who they're from, at least?
Yes. One is from Miss Renee Bolton.
Yes.
One is from Mrs. Melissa Leonard, and one is from Miss Lenine Jones.
Okay, I thank you very much for that, Barb.
You're welcome.
Like I said before, council, this is our meeting. Do you want all 3 of them read? Like I said, I have a plan to run it at the 18th meeting, the one from Miss Jones. The other 2, let me know how you feel on all 3. I'll start with Mr. Dudley. Mr. Dudley, you have to unmute. Mr. Dudley.
Oh, excuse me, I had to address something.
The council, the communications, do you want all 3 of them read, Or do we want to postpone Ms. Jones's till the 18th meeting?
A
Well,
point
you-
of order. I'm sorry, Mike. Sorry to interrupt. Point of order, Mike. There has to be a motion. It's not just a question. It's got to be an actual motion.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I will make the motion to council. Do we want to read all three pieces? Or do we want to leave the one for Ms. Jones as we had discussed, as I had discussed in council to the meeting of the 18th? I put that on the floor. May I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Frank.
Mike,
Barb, would
point
you
of
take-
order, Mike.
Yes.
It's got to be a motion for a yes or no vote.
Okay, okay. Then I will rephrase my motion. I would like to make a motion. Do you want all three pieces of legislation read at tonight's meeting?
Letters.
Barb, would you could I get a second?
I will second that.
Okay, Frank, thank you. Barb, would you take a roll, starting with me?
Nanadovich.
All three pieces.
Nanadovich.
I vote no for all three pieces.
All right. Davis.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Taglerini.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley.
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
Okay. The democratic process takes over. 6 yes votes to read all three pieces of communication. Barb, start off with Miss Lenine Jones. She seems to be the longest letter.
All right. Just give me a second to get it all in front of me here. All right. This is a letter from Lenine Jones, 13204 Eastwood Boulevard, dated March 7th, 2021. Council. On January 27th, 2021, I was notified that the city of Garfield would be looking to appoint a replacement for the Ward 6 council seat. I submitted my letter of intent to the clerk on January 28th, 2021, and received confirmation of receipt on January 29, 2021. I provided a short bio, which included my current occupation with the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, at that time. I was under the impression that I qualified for the appointment. Apparently, that was not the case because Section 9 of the Charter specifically states, members of council shall not hold any other public office or public employment except as otherwise provided in this charter, and that of notary public or member of the state militia or the Reserve Corps of the United States, and shall not be interested in the profits or emoluments of any contract job, work, or service of the municipality. My interpretation of that portion of the charter was that you could be employed by a public entity if there was no conflict of interest, and it was noted as such in my letter of intent. On February 19, 2021, I had an interview with council for the appointment. No one on council informed me that I did not qualify for the position during the interview, nor did anyone ask me any questions relating to my current occupation with the VA. I was notified that I did not qualify for the appointment as a courtesy by Councilman Dudley an hour and a half before the council meeting on February 22, 2021, when council would be nominating and voting on the Ward 6 seat appointment. I am very disappointed in the process and would have appreciated someone taking the time to review my letter of intent and reaching out to me prior to an hour and a half before the vote. It was unprofessional and unorganized, and I would have appreciated you all providing me with the dignity of letting me know up front that I did not qualify, instead of taking me through the entire interview process unnecessarily. Never in my life have I been invited to interview for a position for which I did not qualify. Nonetheless, I am resilient enough to withstand a couple of bumps and bruises and public humiliation. The bigger issue that needs to be addressed is the charter. I want to thank Jeff Jerome in the law department for researching and providing me with a copy of the original charter from 1956. The previously quoted verbiage has not been altered or amended since 1956. I am not sure which residents the original charter sought to exclude, but today is a new day, one of inclusion. Section 9 of the charter not only excludes me from serving on council, but all employees of the VA, including but not limited to doctors, nurses, office staff, janitors, and electricians. Employees of the Social Security Administration, defense, and agencies such as FBI or CIA would be excluded. The charter excludes RTA bus drivers, librarians, community college staff, from professors to mailroom clerks. It would exclude all U.S. postal employees and anyone that is employed by the water department. It would exclude public defenders and members of ODOT. Any federal, state, or city employee would be excluded. All employees of organizations receiving public funds to operate would be excluded. The number of occupations excluded from this charter is too broad and too wide to be considered ethically, socially, and morally correct. Okay. I implore you to repeal this section of the charter because it does not reflect a spirit of inclusion. It is not reflective of what we want for the city of Garfield, and it does not account for the many occupations of the residents of Garfield Heights that desire to serve the city. I must note that shortly after my interview, Councilwoman Davis and Councilman Dudley reached out to me concerning the charter issue and apologized for the confusion. They vowed to revisit Section 9 of the charter in the near future. I pray that moving forward, all of council takes a closer look at our charter to see if it reflects what we aspire to see in Garfield's future. We discussed checks and balances. Just a second. In my interview, council must act as checks and balances for the Charter Review Board as well. This is not a case of, if it's not broken, don't fix it. This is clearly broken, and it's time we fixed it. Humbly, Lanine Jones. That's the end.
Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate it. I was following you on the email that she did send. Okay, you have your next piece of correspondence.
Yeah, which one do you want next, Miss Leonard or Miss Jones?
We'll go with Miss Bolton.
Sorry, I'm getting a drink of water. Do you want Miss Bolton next or Miss Leonard? I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything.
No, Miss Bolton, please.
Miss Bolton next. All right. This is a letter from Renee Bolton, 5749 Turney Road, dated March 3rd, 2021. To our council members and Mayor Burke, I was recently reviewing the new City of Garfield Heights website and was appalled when I came across the court community service page. This webpage is perpetuating the stereotype that only people of color in this community make poor choices that land them in the judicial system. The huge picture of people of color performing community service is racially biased, to say the least. Did these people even consent to have their faces on the website in this manner? I cannot adequately express how disgusted I was to see this picture on the website. This is what gives the racists of this world the confidence to express on a city council meeting that Black children need to be raised better. This is what makes people think that the things they have been raised to believe are correct. Because look, it's on the city website. This type of media exposure is what perpetuates racism and negative views of people of color. I respectfully request that the city take immediate steps to remove this picture. I would also like to address the current flurry of activity revolving around the mayor appointing people of color to several committees in the city. I previously requested the full list of committees in the city and how residents can hold a seat. This request was made on February 23rd, and I have not received this information as of the date of this correspondence. Additionally, optics give the impression that the mayor is now trying to ensure that there are people of color on these committees prior to sending out the list. It is also interesting to me that there are multiple committees with vacant seats that are now being filled. How long have these seats been vacant? What other seats are also vacant? Why have the vacant seats not been posted for the community to get involved on them? When residents talk about transparency, this is a prime example of what we mean. Instead of allowing residents to get involved, we have yet another perpetuation of handpicking people who the mayor wants on these committees. New mayor, same story. I would like to know why these committees are not posted somewhere on the website and why our leadership insists on handpicking members for these committees. I'm deeply disappointed in how this year has begun and implore all of you to do better. How long do we have to keep having the same conversations before something changes? The definition of insanity is when you keep doing the same thing, but expect a different result. This is most definitely insane. And that's the end of that letter.
I thank you, and I believe the mayor may want to address that in his report. I would also like now to go to Ms. Leonard's letter. If you would please read that, Barbara.
All right. This is all right. My throat keeps clogging up, but I
Get
did
something to
drink some
drink,
water.
Barbara. You're doing a lot of reading. Get something to drink.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. All right, let's try this one. Okay, this is a letter from Mrs. Melissa Leonard, 4893 East 84th Street, and it's dated March 3rd, 2021. Dear members of council and Mayor Burke, first, I am very happy to hear the police department has welcomed 3 new officers. I would like to welcome them to our community and pray for their safety. After a near accident with the sewer drain, I contacted the service department about the safety issue. I was very impressed by their quick response. They came out immediately and worked on repairing the damaged sewer catch basin. Thank you to the service department for your attention, concern, and repair. After witnessing continued injustices within our community, I realize we can no longer be silent. We need full transparency, and sometimes the truth hurts. This is not meant as a personal attack. This is meant to draw awareness to the issues that we all should be addressing in our city. With that being said, I am appalled at the lack of cultural awareness that continues to happen within the city leadership. I understand that city leaders have identified one of the incoming police officers as Muslim. I find it odd that the officer's religious beliefs were pointed out as an important qualification for the job. I wonder if all candidates' religious beliefs were questioned. This appears discriminatory. The other option would be to assume that the leadership misspoke and meant to indicate the officer immigrated from Morocco, clearly 2 different categories. This presumption might seem insignificant to some, but this can be offensive. For example, referencing a person of Asian descent as a Buddhist would be presumptive and offensive if they were Christian. Our leadership needs to do better. Recently, Councilman Dudley hosted a phenomenal Black History program. The speaker was inspiring and spoke from his heart about his experiences with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his own life experiences. It was wonderful to also see Inez Killingsworth recognized for her years of advocacy for housing rights, community engagement, and financial wellness. Despite the positive impact of the program, I was immensely astounded by the comments from Mayor Burke as he spoke about his experience of eating Polish boys and visiting a Black-owned restaurant. His comments overshadowed the pain and suffering that has occurred in the Black community. These comments appeared to create a false connection to the Black community. Cultural appropriation occurs when a person from a dominant culture tries to adopt elements of another disadvantaged culture. This is a prime example of why leadership from the mayor throughout the ranks of city leadership needs cultural sensitivity training, cultural awareness, and an overall cultural competence. My intention is not to single out Mayor Burke because there are several other examples that continue to occur within the city leadership, despite increased communications and awareness about the importance of being culturally sensitive. My biggest question is this: what is the status of the cultural, diversity/equity training that was to be scheduled by the City Human Resource Department? If the training has occurred, clearly city employees need more training. To take it one step further, what is being done to hold people accountable for continued issues with a lack of cultural sensitivity? Many members of our community agree that the city leadership has every intention to shut down our voices. To accomplish this, people are often attacked, belittled, or concerns are not addressed at city council meetings. For example, at the last city council meeting, a citizen attempted to bring up the issue of allowing residents to raise chickens. She was immediately shut down and told that the issue had already been addressed before and it would not be addressed again. Thankfully, the result was a willingness to move the issue to the legislative committee. But it was clear from that exchange that the city is against even the most minor change and discussion. If we cannot even discuss the issues affecting our community, how can we make any significant positive change? The issues in our community are deep-rooted. The most important factor in addressing this issue is being willing to have a discussion, actively listening, and being open to community involvement. Many times I have heard city council complain that no one gets involved or no one shows up to meetings. However, when people do show up or are involved, they are shut down, singled out, and often feel unheard. This needs to change from the top down. If our leadership is not willing to listen, then the leadership needs to change. Finally, I am deeply concerned about how the Ward 6 council seat appointment was handled. The meetings that lead up to the interviews and voting were disorganized, to say the least. Not only was there a lack of willingness to accept technological help from Councilwoman Sheila Davis, but there was also a lot of aggressive and demeaning communication. I understand Ms. Davis went to great lengths to suggest the most effective and organized structure for the appointment process. However, her suggestions were often overlooked, dismissed, or adopted as someone else's ideas. In addition to the overall poor organization, clearly favoritism and cronyism prevailed without regard for what the citizens requested. On several occasions, Mr. Nanadovich pointed out that Renee Bolton received numerous letters of recommendation, yet she was not appointed. I have nothing against Mr. Tagliarini and wish him the best in his new role. However, this is just another example of how the leadership dealings in our city need a complete transformation. I have no doubt come election, the citizens' voices will be heard. Just a second. There has been no mention of extending the Community Relations Committee application deadline during the City Council meetings. What is the status of the extension? To increase the number of applicants, please work on posting the opportunity on the city website. Clearly, the website can be updated when certain people feel it is warranted. During numerous meetings, it was discussed that the application would be available online, along with a list of requirements. However, I have yet to see anything posted on the city website indicating such. How can people get involved if the city is so disorganized? They cannot. What is the response? Blame it on the people for not being involved. This pattern needs to change. I support changes to the city charter allowing city council members to hold public employment while on city council. Many successful cities allow members to hold public employment. Public employment should not automatically be a barrier to holding office. How can community members get involved in making this charter change? What is the outcome of the discussion of reducing the number of judges to 1? Are the crime rates still decreasing? In closing, city leadership response to these concerns comes from a place of fear, privilege, biases, control, and a lack of knowledge. Our desire is to advocate for positive outcomes in our community. Our hope is that people will be teachable and open. Our passion and motivation come from years of inequity, disrespect, and concerns falling on deaf ears. Our mistrust comes from a lack of transparency. Our voices come out of a love for our community. Our frustration comes from a lack of response and attempted oppression. We love our community and want to see improvements. There will be a lot of changes coming down the road for our city, including city leadership. Our community will hold people accountable for their role and actions. We will not be silenced. And that is the end of the letter.
Thank you very much, Barb. Are there
You're
any
welcome.
other communications?
There will be a lot of changes
Okay.
coming down
Thank
the road for our
Thank you
city.
very much. Okay, we will continue on. The letters have been read. We will now go to, let's see, written communications to council. Committee reports. Mr.
Chairman.
Jason, I believe you have a council.
I'd like to make a motion to give the floor to Ms. Millette King of the Garfield Heights City School District for her report.
I will second that. Barb, Barb, would you take a roll call, starting with Mr. Blake?
Because they did look at the strategic level issues and deficiencies, they looked at the tactical level deficiencies and improvements that need to be made. Now the question is, are we going to make?
Okay, it stopped. Okay. Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
I'm on yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue,
Yes.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis.
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0. Ms. King, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Garfield, good evening. Good evening to everyone. Garfield Heights City School District wants to welcome our newest board member, Heather Morrison. Heather was sworn in on February 8th. She was appointed to fill the vacancy left from the resignation of Christine Kitson. All teachers and staff have had the opportunity to receive their 2 COVID vaccinations if they chose to receive them. The district began their hybrid return to school model today. It was a pleasure having the opportunity to greet students and staff this morning as they return to the school buildings. For more information on the hybrid model, please see the district's website. Our next school board meeting will be held Monday, March 15th at 6 p.m. and you can view the meeting via our YouTube channel. Thank you, and that ends my report.
Ms. King, could you send
Yes.
out an email for the Zoom that you're going to be going on? That's so that all council can get that.
So the Zoom is just for the school board members. We live stream it to our YouTube channel. So
Okay.
everyone can view it via the YouTube channel. And if you have questions, you email those questions to us and then we will read those live at our meeting.
Thank you, Ms. King.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Do we have any other, or is there any questions for Ms. King? None? Okay. Any other committee reports? I have one. We are still going to have our meeting on the section 9 of the charter and the chicken ordinance for having farm animals on the 18th of March, which is a Thursday, and it'll be at 6:30. And that's my committee report. Okay, if no of the other committee chairmen have anything, we will move on to reports of the mayor and directors. Mayor Burke, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to respond to the letters that were read just recently here. I first want to say to Ms. Bolton, in regards to the court community service page, that page is not a page that is part of our city's website. It is a link to the Cuyahoga County Court community service page. I did talk to Pat Salemi, and she is going to reach out to them about possibly changing that picture that is offensive. So hopefully she can get that done, but that is really not part of our city webpage. And while I'm on the webpage, I will say that our webpage is under construction. We are constantly trying to make it better. It is nowhere near being where I want it yet, nowhere near being where others in the administration here want it, but we are working on it. Part of it is we're short-staffed. We just don't have the money to do it. And there's some other things that are happening in the city that the two people that handle our website have more importance, such as making sure the fire and police have adequate communication. As far as the committees that you mentioned, the committees that need appointments, almost every one of them timed out or termed out as of December 31st, 2020. Mayor Kalova was pretty strong-willed about not appointing anybody and leaving it up to me to appoint. As a matter of fact, I've been talking about appointing some of the members as early as February 1st when I took office. However, because there's a few vacancies, I just last week talked to Tim Riley and Jeff Jerome about posting these committees so that people can actually see what they're all about and express interest. As far as my recent appointment, I spoke to Mr. Kelly. He has expressed interest in wanting to be more involved in the city, and we spoke specifically about a few committees, and that was the one that we had agreed on. So that's why I appointed him. It had nothing to do with his heritage. It had everything to do with him being interested in the position and serving on the committee. And he is a fine, fine individual who I find to be very easy to speak to, very level-headed, and very much a pillar in this particular community. Also, because I was the representative in Ward 6, I knew Mr. Kelly from that, and I have always thought highly of him. So hopefully that addresses those issues. In regards to the letter by Ms. Leonard, talking about the cultural diversity equity training, that training is still being put into effect. We are not quite there yet. We just got the material, I believe, a few weeks ago. As you know, back in January, I believe it was, or end of December is when that was passed. So we had to get that information in. I will tell you that I have been in contact through Janice Tubbs with Dr. Adrian Fletcher from Case Western Reserve in regards to having her come in and talk about the cultural diversity training here at the Civic Center and to the city employees. Dr. Fletcher is a diversity expert. She is the Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Case Western Reserve. I don't believe that we're going to get anybody in this area that's going to be better qualified than to have her come in and speak. We've been on numerous Zoom calls here in regards to that, and I really hope to be able to make that happen here within the next few months, depending on the scheduling. Also, in regards to the one-judge court, the one-judge court is pretty much dead in the water. I think when we reviewed the numbers, the all the preliminary reports show that we're down in cases, mostly due to COVID-19, specifically the traffic offenses. Because as you know, police officers, they're in the front line of this thing. And I believe they're just, when they pull people over, they're worried about their own safety when it comes to COVID-19. So that's where we've seen a lot of the traffic violations down. We believe that once the vaccine gets put into effect and everybody gets back out and about, those cases will probably go back up. So there's no need to go to a one-judge court. I really do want to say that, and Mrs. Jones, I want to say to you that in regards to the Chapter 9 of the charter, I know that it's been talked about previously. It's been talked about when I was a council person. I personally, and this is just my personal feelings, I personally don't have a problem as long as it's not a direct conflict of interest with the city. In other words, you can't work for the city and be the council person in that city. I think that would be a conflict of interest. As far as being part of the TSA, being part of Homeland Security, being part of the United States military, I would say that, that is something that would not be a conflict of interest. So that's just where I feel on that. And hopefully that can be put on the ballot and voters can decide that, because I believe that's how the procedure is for that particular thing. I really do want to say I appreciate the letters. I appreciate any kind of criticism of me. As you know, I've only been doing this about a month and a week or so, and I will be the first one to tell you this is not an easy job. I feel a lot of times we're judged on a lot of things that we do or we say, but I just want to let everybody know I appreciate the letters. I appreciate the criticism. I'm trying my best to do the right thing. And all I can do is put my best foot forward, try my best. And if the voters vote for me, they vote for me. And hopefully that'll be the case. If they don't vote for me and they decide to bring somebody else in, well, I guess I'll be looking for a job. But all I can do and all I can control is to try my very best to treat people with dignity and do the best that I can. Do I have my moments? Probably. I don't set out to try to disrespect anyone. I just try to do the right thing. I want to congratulate school board member Heather Morrison on her appointment. I also want to congratulate Mr. Frank Tagliarini on his appointment to Ward 6. I will tell you, I know how hard of a job that is and how involved we are in Ward 6. So I'm sure you'll be getting the phone calls, and certainly anybody who calls me, I'll send them your way, Frank. I'm just joking. Everybody knows that I will. Everybody knows that I will handle it, or help to handle it. The Community Relations Committee, I wanted to talk about that real quick because I had 10 applicants, actually got one in today, and I know they're late, but I went ahead and I'm going to set up an appointment with them as well. My assistant, Jen Duber, is in the process of setting up the interviews for next week, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. We added a third day because, as you know, the schedule here gets pretty busy. So we will sit down, we'll interview the applicants. I'll make my appointments, and then council can confirm those people. I promise you I will be as transparent about it as I can be. But during the actual interview process, every applicant is going to get asked the same questions, and we'll develop a response to those questions. I will make the interviews known to council, and they can review them and hopefully approve who we select here on my end. Council packets. In caucus, you guys were talking about council packets. I don't care how you guys want it. I'll try to make it happen. If you want it sent to your houses through the police department the way it used to be, we can make that happen. We can try to make it happen here at the Civic Center. and we can try to have them at the police station. I think I'm in agreement with our law director, Tim Riley, that you want to have them someplace where you can pick them up and your access to that place 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you don't pick up the packet by Thursday, you forget to pick it up Friday, the next thing you know, Saturday, the building is closed and you can't come in and get your packet. I think that there should be some way to come to some kind of terms on this. Either way, we will make sure those packets are emailed to you as they've been going. Want to talk a little bit about the council work session that I called for this Wednesday. I know Ms. Davis cannot make it. What I would like to do is find out, I'm getting a conflicting, do we schedule it for Thursday? Or are we postponing it another week? I would just like to know if you guys want to get a hold of me via email, let me know. I just want to get it scheduled so that we can all be on the same page. That's the one to talk about the trash cans and violators that don't take their trash cans back in and out. Okay, every Saturday morning, I have been doing a Zoom coffee with the mayor. And that's from 10 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday mornings. I make myself available and I talk about what we've been working on all week. I also have residents that will ask questions during these sessions. I will tell you, I believe them to be very informative, especially on my end, as well as the residents out there. I will commit to keep doing it as long as people are involved. Certainly, I don't want to be having Zoom coffee with the mayor and be the only one out there. So, but I do appreciate everybody. We had a great conversation this last Saturday about what people can do in the community to help, you know, stuff like pick up the trash and make sure that we're helping the needy. There was just so many things that came out of this last week. I just feel inspired to have to talk about it at my report. I also started a Zoom with the seniors every Wednesday. And I got to tell you, it's been very well received. A lot of the seniors have not seen anybody, heard from anybody for almost a year now. You know, we've been in the COVID for a year. I felt it was very important that we touch base with seniors. We had a great crew of people from Jennings Hall. We're hoping to have Marymount Place and St. Tim's on board this coming week. So hopefully we'll get something going there where it gives them something to do. It gives them something that we can maybe all talk about and have conversations about whatever they want to talk about. So that's something that I feel strongly about doing, just to keep up with the seniors and make sure that they're okay. We continue to deliver meals to them. We continue to help them if they need transportation to doctor's appointments and so on. But I feel like we have to have more interaction with seniors, and that's what we're doing. Let me talk a little bit about Impact Switchback. By now you've heard of Switchback. They are a company that was a company that manufactures craft beer cans for the craft beer industry. They were purchased last year by a company called Impact out of Great Britain. And they're coming to Garfield Heights and making Garfield Heights their corporate headquarters. They're bringing with them a $3 million payroll with a tax incentive and growth incentive to hit $5 million by the time they're 5 years from now. They feel if they can hit that as an entity now, Switchback Impact they actually now manufacture cereal boxes, pill bottles, your craft beer containers. They're into a lot of different things that we touch and see every day. I'm very proud to announce that they're coming here. This is something that Mayor Kalova and I have been working on since probably the beginning of November. And I'm happy to see that they've signed their lease and they're taking over 60,000 square feet of the old Walmart location right there at Highland Park. obviously what's known as City View Shopping Center. We haven't stopped there. We're in negotiations with another company for the same center over there. That is going to probably be about the same size, if not a little bit bigger than Switchback. They have not signed their lease, and I've given my word that I would not release who they are, because a lot of the developers don't want other developers trying to steal their tenants. And I do want to announce that Maureen Kuban and I have been in negotiations with another business. It looks like they are coming, and they're scheduled to close on a building they're buying here in Garfield Heights, either today or tomorrow. I haven't heard much from them, but this is a $1.5 million payroll. They're a construction firm, and they also are going to sublease some of the building that they're purchasing. All good news for the city of Garfield Heights. I think that it's something we're on the up and up, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going. And let me get into tonight's legislation real quick. Ordinance number 21, 2021. That is just a renewal of the juvenile diversion program. And that is something that we've been doing for years. I think it's a good program for the community and for the juveniles. Ordinance number 22, 2021 is basically to address the retaining wall over there on East 131st Street and North Parkway, which is in desperate need of repair. That is something that's definitely needed over there in Ward 1. Ordinance number 23, 2021 is to purchase 10 portable radios. This is something that is needed to get us updated here in the city for our safety forces. Ordinance 24, 25, and 26 all are dealing with the Granger Road I-480 interchange. 24 is to really set up a funding mechanism, so if the project does go through, the city of Garfield Heights will be able to administer the funding for it. Will act as the catalyst the funding goes through. Ordinance number 25 is really to contract with OHM engineers and advisors to come up with a preliminary plan to see exactly how it would be done. And then ordinance number 26 is to create and establish the interchange improvement fund so that we can administer those funds. I will tell you that being a resident in that area, I've been given their word from the president of Marymount that there will be a series of public meetings in the event that that particular project is underway. Our resolution number 11 is appointing Clifford Kelly to the Recreation Board of the City of Garfield Heights. Just so you know, I did have a conversation with Mr. Kelly. He's excited about this. I'm excited for him. I also want to remind council that there are 2 members the council needs to appoint for this position as well, for this board as well. And one of them needs to be a Board of Education employee. And then resolution number 12, 2021 is a resolution commending Reverend Dr. Charles Payne. That's introduced by Councilwoman Shayla Davis, and I'm sure she'll want to talk about that when the legislation comes up. And with that, you have my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions for the mayor on his report? Any comments or questions? Councilwoman Davis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Berg, are you able to send me or have your assistant send the link for your Saturday with the mayor and also the senior event that you do? I can't recall which day you said, because I don't have that. I did see that someone had it floating around social media, but I would like to send it out in an email blast to my seniors and let other residents of Ward 4 know that the meeting on Saturday is happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'll have Jen send it to you. We're also going to look at putting it on the city website as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr.
Any-
Chairman.
Anybody else? Are there any of the directors that have a report or wish to speak at this time? The chiefs, Mr. Burke, unmute, please.
Apologize for that.
No problem.
Just want to let everybody know that, with the COVID last year, there was no events. However, I am bringing back T-ball this year. Co-ed softball was here a few years back. I would really like to try to really implement that as well. Signups for both will begin April 1st. Also wanted to remind everybody about the ice show, the 27th. Unfortunately, it's as far as in person and just for the dignitaries of the city. It will be live streamed, however, the 27th, which is a Saturday. And just wanted to report that over the last 4 months from November to February, the ice rink has brought in a good, 17,000 and a half a month as far as revenue go for the city. It's been a pretty busy due to other rinks being shut down and whatnot. And we actually locked in a couple of new tenants as far as that goes for next year as well. That is my report.
Any questions for Mr. Burke on his report? There being none, I do have a question. Is Service Director Mark Sycon available? Mr. Sycon? I guess not. Okay, I'll make a phone call to him. Okay, any of the chiefs or anybody else wish to speak? Okay, if not, we will move on. At this time, we made a motion to have the election for council president pro tem at this time in the meeting, just before communications by citizens and after the mayor's report and director's report. Mr. Riley, I believe I have to make a motion to hold the election and name the candidates that are available. Mr. Riley?
We have to make a motion to open the floor for nominations.
Okay, thank you. I would like to make a motion to open the floor for nominations for council president pro tem. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Chuck. On the motion, starting with me, Barb, take a roll.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The floor
Mr.
is
Chairman.
open. Mr. Vaughn,
I would like to nominate Council Michael Dudley of Ward 1 as council president pro temp.
okay, that's a nomination. Are there any other nominations? I would like to nominate Councilwoman of Ward 7, Tom Vaughn, for council pro tem. Are there any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
at this time, I cannot take that position.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vaughn. Then nominations, if there are no other ones, nominations are closed. Okay, seeing as how Mr. Dudley is the only candidate of the two that is available to run for council president pro tem, I don't believe we need to have an aye in it, but I'm going to make a motion that we take a floor vote, even though he is the only one, really make it official. So I make a motion to vote yay or nay on Mr. Dudley. Starting with, do I have a second? Chuck, thank you. Starting with myself, Barb,
Please, who seconded that?
Chuck Donahue,
Thank you. All right. Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Before I vote, I would like to say Councilman Dudley has served his ward well since 2007. For 16 years, he has had a well-organized and enjoyable Black History Month program and celebrations. For years, he has sponsored many meals and services for the residents of St. Timothy Manor. With that being said, I support Michael Dudley for Council President Pro Tem, and I vote yes.
Dudley,
Hey, before I vote, I want to thank Tom for the nomination. And I really want to thank all my council colleagues. I do appreciate this. And I really thank all of y'all. I thank all of y'all for this opportunity to finish it out this term. And with that, I vote yes. And thank you all once again, all of y'all in council. Thank you.
Donahue,
Before I vote, Mike, it's a long time coming. I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. That passes 7-0. Mr. Dudley, congratulations.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Now that business is taken care of, 7-0. I got to write this down. Excuse me. Okay. Next, we have communications from citizens on the agenda for tonight. Only on the agenda. Barb, would you read the rules for the council, citizens communications?
comments shall be strictly limited to brief statements not to exceed 5 minutes, with comments limited to legislation on the current evening's agenda. No citizen shall speak more than once.
Are there any citizens tonight wishing to speak on the agenda before council? If there being none, we will get into ordinances and resolutions. Excuse me 1 second, I have to get some water.
Mr. Kelly is looking to make.
Oh, okay. Mr. Kelly, I didn't see you. Go ahead, please. You have the floor.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak, but I heard the letters and the comments made in regards to the mayor's appointment.
Mr. Kelly, this is just on the agenda. You will have a chance to speak on comments by citizens at the end of the meeting.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought that's where we were.
No problem, sir.
Okay. All right.
It happens all the time.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, I believe Mr. Kelly was talking about resolution number 11, 2021, which is on tonight's agenda.
Oh, okay. Okay. If
about.
that's the case, I didn't catch that. Okay. If it's on resolution 11, no problem. Mr. Kelly, you have the floor.
I just wanted to say thank you for that appointment. But if it's stop me if my comment is bleeding into what should be a comment for the open floor citizens. I'm concerned that the thought process in this appointment was a token pick. And the reason why I bring that up is because of what maybe I gauged it wrong, but the tone of that letter. I have been on the ground, boots on the ground person all my life. I've always tried to be involved in everything that affected me directly. And so I didn't wait to see what I could get involved in. Well, I didn't try and wait to see, what's going to happen in November, whatever. I immediately contacted council. If they feel like disclosing who they are, they can. But I contacted council. Hey, what's going on in the city? What can I be involved in? Then I immediately contacted the mayor. I contacted him. I didn't wait to find out what was going on. I went and I tracked him down, and then he called me back. He's being generous by saying that he called me, but I tracked him down. So I just want to make sure that it's understood that I didn't wait for an opportunity. I looked to see what I could do. So, but again, I thank the mayor for the appointment, and I look forward to work with the citizens of Garfield. And that is all.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, this is Barbara.
Yes,
What is Mr. Kelly's address?
Mr. Kelly, could you give her your address, please, for the clerk to record?
12312 Eastwood Boulevard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Mr. President,
Who am I looking at?
this is Mayor Burke, Mr.
Oh,
President.
Mr. Burke, go ahead.
I just want to follow up Mr. Kelly's comments that he was very proactive in reaching out to me in regards to being on the committee. And we discussed at great detail what the committee entailed. And I was pretty impressed with what he had to say. So he was proactive about it. It wasn't that I sought him, he actually sought me. So I just want to put that for the record. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Okay,
Mr. President,
who am I speaking to? Mr. Blake, go ahead.
Lawrence Lane has a hand up.
Ms. Lane, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to wait until afterwards. I held my hand up a little too fast there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Anybody else wishing to comment on what's on tonight's agenda? Okay, if there being none, we will move on to ordinances and resolutions. We will start off with ordinance 21, 2001. Barb, would you read the title?
Ordinance number 21, 2021, sponsored by Mayor Matthew A. Burke, co-sponsored by Councilman Nanadovich, Donahue, Blake, Taglerini, and Vaughn. An emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor to renew an agreement with Cuyahoga County and Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court to continue participating in the Cuyahoga County Community Diversion Program.
Thank you, Barbara. I would like to make a motion to consider by title. Barb, would you take a vote, please?
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake, an emergency
Yes.
ordinance. Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Vaughn, yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
7-0. I appreciate that. Next, I would like to make a motion to waive the 3 reading rule. Starting with myself. Barbara, go ahead.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Count Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
Thank you, Barbara. Next, I would like to make a motion to waive Rule 24. Starting with myself, Barb.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Count Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
At 7-0. And on the adoption, I'd like to make a motion on the adoption, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Count Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue,
yes,
Ordinance 21, 2021 passes with 7 yes votes. Next on the agenda is ordinance 22, 2021. I would like to make a motion. Barb, would you please read the title?
ordinance number 22, 2021, sponsored by Mayor Matthew A. Burke, co-sponsored by Councilman Nanadovich, Donahue, Vaughn, and Dudley. An emergency ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement with Valley View Cement Contractors, Incorporated, for the purpose of removing and rebuilding a retaining wall located at East 131st Street and North Parkway.
Thank you, Barb. I would like to make a motion to consider by title, starting with myself. Barbara?
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
yes,
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rules, starting with myself, Barbara.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
yes,
Vaughn,
Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
I would like to make a motion to waive the 24-hour rule, starting with myself, Barbara.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
yes,
Vaughn,
Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
And I'd like to make a motion on the adoption, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
yes,
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Before I vote, I don't know how many people had an opportunity to ever see that wall. It's deplorable. It's been in bad shape for quite a while. And I know we done battled as a city back and forth with Cleveland and the members are over there in Ward 2 in Cleveland, and basically with the council people, I talked to them quite a bit. If you look at it, it just looked like it's tearing apart. Some of the bricks that came off of it. And this is long overdue. And it's not a complaint of how it looked. Now I'm happy that it's getting done so we can see what the finished product. And I know the people on Service Court is very happy about this. And I'm glad that we are finally able to do something about it. It's going to make the community look better. But most of all, it was a big safety issue. And with that, I vote yes.
Donahue,
yes,
Thank you, Barb. And that passes 7-0. Next on the agenda is ordinance 23, 2021. Barb, would you read the title, please?
ordinance number 23, 2021, sponsored by Mayor Matthew A. Burke, co-sponsored by Councilman Nanadovich, Donahue, Dudley, Blake, Taglerini, and Vaughn. An emergency ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement with Chagrin Valley Dispatch for the purpose of purchasing 10 Motorola portable APX 6000XE radios to be used by the Garfield Heights Fire Department.
Thank you, Barbara. I would like to make a motion to consider by title, starting with myself, please.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
Would like to make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule. Barb, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
yes,
Blake,
yes,
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
Would like to make a motion to waive Rule 24. Take a vote, Barbara, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
yes,
Blake,
yes,
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue,
yes,
And I'd like to make a motion on the adoption, to vote for the adoption, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
yes,
Blake,
yes,
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
Ordinance 23, 2021 passes with 7 yes votes. Excuse me. Thank you. Next on the agenda, ordinance 24, 2021. Barb, would you read the title, please?
Let me just get it up here. Okay, ordinance number 24, 2021, sponsored by Mayor Matthew A. Burke, co-sponsored by Councilman Nanadovich, Donahue, Blake, Taglerini, and Vaughn. An emergency ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Marymount Hospital Incorporated to provide a funding mechanism for the initial costs associated with the I-480 Granger Road interchange improvement project.
I would like to make a motion to consider by title, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
yes,
Blake,
yes,
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn, yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
On the suspension of 3 readings rule, I would like to make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
yes,
Blake,
yes,
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
I would like to make a motion to waive the 24-hour rule, starting with myself, Barbara.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
yes,
Blake,
yes,
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
yes,
And I'd like to make a motion on the adoption, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
before I vote, I'd just like to say on the record again, although Mayor Burke has mentioned it and we have had lengthy discussion during caucus, I just want to ensure before this project moves forward that the residents are involved, because if this is going to jeopardize their property and create eminent domain, that we do them properly and give them the opportunity to be involved in this. With that, I vote yes.
Blake,
yes,
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Count Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Before I vote, Mr. Chairman, I will have to recuse myself for the vote because I serve as a trustee on Cleveland Clinic Marymount Hospital. So I will have to recuse myself from voting.
Okay, Michael, duly noted. Barb, continue.
Donahue,
Yes.
that's it.
Ordinance 24, 2021. We have 6 yes votes and 1 recluse due to conflict of interest. Thank you.
All right. And
Next, we'll go to ordinance 25, 2021. Barb, would you read the title, please?
ordinance number 25, 2021, sponsored by Mayor Matthew A. Burke, co-sponsored by Councilman Nanadovich, Donahue, Blake, Taglerini, and Vaughn. An emergency ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors to provide planning and preliminary engineering for the I-480 Granger Road Interchange Improvement Project.
Okay, thank you. I would like to make a motion to consider by title, starting with myself, Barbara.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Mr. Chairman, my speaker went up. What were we, I know at what point of this vote is we on?
We're on consider by title.
I
20
vote yes. Yeah, my speaker app went out. Thank
No
you.
problem, sir.
so you voted yes? All right. Donahue,
Yes.
On suspension, I would like to make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule, starting with myself, Barb.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
Question before we go any further. If this is involving the I-480 interchange with Marymount, Mr. Dudley, would that have anything to do with you so you don't get in any problems?
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have to recuse myself once again from that entire project.
Okay, I direct the next question to our law director. Tim, do I have to retake the vote?
Well, it would be my position if he's going to recuse himself from voting on the ordinance, he should recuse himself from all votes on it.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Barb, we will eliminate Mr. Dudley on the next 3 votes on this ordinance, and he's reclusing due to his conflict of interest. And we have 1 more vote to go on this. Mr. Donahue?
I was just waiting for Barb.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was a little lost on that. Okay, I'm sorry. I got lost. Are we on the adoption or the waiver?
We're on the suspension of the 3 reading rule.
All right. I already called all your names. So we're going to do it again?
Yes, you have to, no, just recluse Mike Dudley on that.
Oh, all right. So he said yes originally. I'll change it to recuse. Now, do I need to call everyone else again?
No, we have to ask Mr. Donahue. He hasn't been asked yet. Or wait, yes, he has. Yes, he has.
Second
I went
time.
back. My fault. No problem. Okay. Next, I would like to make a motion to waive the 24-hour rule, starting with myself.
Point of order, it's even referred to as a 24-hour rule. It's Rule 24.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rule 24. Thank you, Tim. I would like to make a motion to waive Rule 24, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I want to look back at this piece for a second. Okay, I vote yes. I just wanted to make sure it was finances. I vote yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
And I'd like to make a motion on the adoption, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
That passes 6-1, 6 yes and 1 recluse due to conflict of interest.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, next we have ordinance number 26, 2021. Barb, would you read the title, please?
Ordinance 26, 2021, sponsored by Mayor Matthew A. Burke, co-sponsored by Councilman Nanadovich, Donahue, Blake, Taglerini, and Vaughn. An emergency ordinance authorizing and directing the Finance Director to establish the I-480 Granger Road Interchange Improvement Fund, number 404, within the city's budgetary fund structure.
Thank you, Barbara. I would like to make a motion to consider by title, starting with myself.
All right. Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule, starting with myself, Barbara.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to waive Rule 24. Barb, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Mr. Chairman, do we have to do Rule 24 on this because it's not actually about finances? It's her creating a fund, but it's not finances. I'm
Yes,
going
but
to vote no.
it's regarding finance, and we don't know the amount right now, but I would like to waive the 24-hour rule just to be on the safe side.
I'm going to abstain.
Go ahead, Barb.
oh, abstain. All right, I got that, abstain. Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Okay.
Donahue,
Yes.
Thank you, Barb. And on the adoption, starting with me.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
Thank you, Barb. That passes by 5 yes votes, 1 abstention, and 1 recluse. Okay.
Excuse me,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman.
I'm sorry, no. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, didn't it pass with 6 yes votes and 1 recuse?
So Councilman Shayla Davis abstained. Wait, yes, it does go to the majority of the votes. So that would go to 6 yes votes.
No.
No. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Mr. Chairman, I abstained from Rule 24 because it's not necessary, because it's not finances.
Okay.
But I voted yes for the actual ordinance.
My mistake. So that would pass 6 yes votes, and 1 recluse.
Yes.
Thank you for correcting
Thank
me. I
you.
appreciate that. At least somebody's watching me, my back at least. Thank you. Next, we will go on to resolutions. We will start off with resolution 11, 2021. Barb, would you read the title, please?
Resolution 11-2021, sponsored by Mayor Matthew Burke, co-sponsored by Councilman Nanadovich, Donahue, Blake, Taglerini, Vaughn, and Dudley. An emergency resolution ratifying an appointment by the Mayor of Clifford Kelly to the Recreation Board of the City of Garfield Heights, Ohio, for the term effective immediately and ending December 31, 2026.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to consider by title, please, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion now to suspend the 3 reading rule, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Tom Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
I would like to refer to the law director. Do we have to go for a Rule 24 saying this is I believe a check is issued, if there is?
No, you don't have to do Rule 24, and that's the money that's already appropriated.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. And then we can go right to the adoption. I'd like to make a motion to adopt 11, 2021, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes, and welcome aboard.
Davis,
Before I vote, congratulations, Mr. Kelly, and I vote yes.
Blake,
Before I vote, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Kelly, and I appreciate your initiative and effort to seek an area where you can help the community. And again, I just would like to congratulate you, Mr. Kelly. Thank you. I vote yes.
Taglerini,
Before I vote, I would like to congratulate Mr. Kelly and wish him the best of luck. And with that, I vote yes.
Vaughn,
Kelly, I think you'll be a great asset to the Recreation Board. I think you and Mr. Burke will form a great bond, and great things will be happening in the Recreation Department. And with that, I vote yes.
Dudley,
Before I vote, I agree with all my colleagues. Mr. Kelly, you are an excellent fit for that position. I know we done had conversations where we done talked about diversity on the phone. We done talked about activities. And like you say, you'd like to see more activities for the kids within the city of Garfield Heights. And just like my colleagues that mentioned, you are the best fit for that job. And congratulations. And I wish you the best, Mr. Kelly. Welcome aboard to that position.
and you vote
I vote
Or
yes.
Mr. Donahue?
I vote yes, Barb.
Thank you. Donahue,
Before I vote, I'd also like to congratulate Mr. Kelly, and I vote yes.
Thank you. That passes 7-0. And again, Mr. Kelly, welcome aboard. And our last piece of business for tonight on resolutions and ordinances is Resolution 12, 2021. And Barb, would you add my name to that after you read the title?
yes, I already did. All right. Resolution number 12, 2021, sponsored by Councilwoman Shayla L. Davis, co-sponsored by Councilman Donahue, Blake, Taglerini, Nanadovich, Vaughn, and Dudley. A resolution commemorating Reverend Dr. Charles Payne Lucas Jr.'s 80th birthday celebration.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to consider by title, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Count Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Vote yes.
Donahue,
I vote yes.
I would like to make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Nanadovich votes yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Taglerini,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Vaughn votes yes.
Dudley,
Yes.
Donahue,
Yes.
And on the adoption, starting with myself.
Nanadovich,
Before I vote, Reverend Lucas, 80 years is accomplishment in itself. In today's day and age, people are living longer. But 80 years old and still mobile and getting around and being a reverend in the community, quite an accomplishment in life. And with that, I vote yes.
Davis,
Before I vote, I would like to first thank Mayor Burke for working with me last week to ensure that the Lucas family had a proclamation on behalf of the city. Additionally, we decided to do this resolution on my behalf as council. I appreciate council considering this tonight. Mr. Lucas has lived a very full life. He is very community driven. He's been the president of the Cleveland NAACP. His son now runs Lucas Memorial Chapel Funeral Home, which is located in Ward 4, in my ward. And they have been very active in supporting our community and all the events and different things that I've done. Lucas has always been a proud and honored supporter of that. So it is with honor that I present this resolution to Mr. Lucas on behalf of City Council. Thank you.
Your vote.
and your vote.
I did forget that. I vote yes.
Thank you. Blake,
Before I vote, I would like to wish Mr. Lucas a happy birthday. And with that, I vote yes.
Taglerini,
Before I vote, I would like to wish Mr. Lucas a happy birthday. And with that, you have my vote, yes.
Vaughn,
Vote, I want to wish Dr. Charles Payne Lucas Jr. a very happy 80th birthday and many more. And with that, I vote yes.
Dudley,
Before I vote, I also would like to wish the Reverend Dr. Charles Payne Lucas a happy 80th birthday. And it was always good to see him. I didn't know him since they arrived in the community, and that was many years ago. I can't remember. It goes back beyond 2017, 16, 15. I just can't remember the exact. But he was always there when he was in the hallway, sitting in the hallway. He would always greet you. The family has been a strong supporter of programs that I have done, especially the Black History Program. They was a supporter of the Black History Program from day one, going back beyond past 2015. And they have been great in the community upon their arrival, the exact date, but I know they always been a supporter of ours. They are a good family. And like I say, Dr. Reverend Charles Payne, he has always greeted you, and he was there with a good smile and everything. So once again, at 80 years old, I pray today that I make it to 80. I'm looking forward to that. And we wish the young man, we're gonna wish the young man a happy birthday and many more to come. And with that, I vote yes.
Donahue,
Before I vote, I'd like to wish Reverend Dr. Lucas a happy birthday and congratulations to all your accomplishments. Ms. Davis brought all that forward in this resolution. I didn't know you had those accomplishments. It's really, really great that you've done all that. And with that, I vote yes.
Thank you, Council. That passes with a unanimous 7-0. And again, happy birthday, Doctor. That concludes resolutions and ordinances for tonight. Next, we will move on. And the wind just came out of the west and blew everything off my desk. Okay. We will move on to comments by citizens. Barb, would you read the rules for comments by citizens?
Comments shall be restricted to any problem a citizen has which has previously been submitted to his or her councilperson or to the City Hall Department directly involved. If submission of a problem to a City Hall Department or a councilperson is made and there is a lack of service rendered in this regard, the problem may then be presented during comments from citizens at a future meeting. It is the intention of this rule that no request of a first nature is presented on the floor at this time. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. No citizen shall be heard more than once.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, I will open up the floor. Please speak one at a time. Don't try to cut over anybody. We have a lot of people on our chat tonight, or on our participants. We have 53 participants. That's a very good number. So I will open the floor to comments by citizens.
Mr. Chairman, Melissa Leonard has her hand up.
Mr. Leonard, Miss Leonard, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Leonard. My address is 4893 East 84th Street. I'm going to be brief today. I just have a few things to say. I just first want to thank Barb for reading my long and lengthy letter. I know it was a little long, and I was able to express the main points, but I just wanted to bring up one more thing that came up and was also addressed in the letter briefly, and that's just the appointment of some of these different positions. I know that several members have reached out to different community leaders requesting information on some of the committees that are available, as far as what committees are available, how does one go about applying for the position or the committee or the board. And to date, I haven't been able to personally find anything on the website or anywhere listed as to what openings are available to city members. And so while I congratulate Cliff on his appointment, I'm also still very concerned on how that happened. And if that position was available and what other candidates applied for that position, if any. I have no doubt, again, that I'm sure he's going to do a great job in that position, but the question is not with him itself, it's with the process. And as a community member, we want to be informed about positions that are available and committees, and how does one get on a committee? How does one get appointed to a committee? And for a prime example, the Community Relations Committee, there was multiple discussions about that committee, how to get involved, how to apply for that position. And yet we have a position and multiple positions that are opened, for the community, but no one's aware of those positions. So I guess that's my biggest question of the day, is where can we find that information? What are the openings? What are the qualifications, and how does one go about applying for some of these openings within the committees and council and everything else that's open out there? And how is that process being fair and equitable to the community that wants to apply and wants to get involved? So with that, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Leonard, if I may make a statement. Earlier in the meeting, you heard Mayor Burke mention that we are going to be upgrading our website. It is getting better and better all along. Technology, we're finally catching up with it. And I do hope we start posting these openings or positions in the city. Before, all we had was emails. We didn't have Zoom, and people did not come to the council meetings. So, we have 53 people here. We had 62 at one point in the evening. That's more people I've seen touched, except for the time we were getting ready to close the rec center 8 years ago. We had over 200 at the meeting. But with this new technology, the websites, the web pages, and this Zoom meeting, I mean, I believe we're going to see something coming up in the city where we're finally catching up with the technology and more information will be working out to the citizens. We can only, take it at a time. Our IT man is doing double duty. We're upgrading everything. So please bear with us. And if we're not working fast enough, I expect you, and I hope you do, continue to ask these questions of us. And I appreciate that. So
Okay, so
with
but
that,
in the meantime, though, where can we get that information?
Mr. President, if I could address that.
Please go ahead.
Mrs. Leonard, all of the committees are assigned in our charter. So if you go to the council page, you can go to the codified ordinances of the charter, it lists every committee that we have. Now, saying that, I mean, it's pretty a pretty strenuous process, and I certainly applaud Mr. Kelly for looking into it. However, in speaking with even our law director, as soon as, but I want to say last Wednesday or Thursday, I recognize the fact that we have to do some changing. In the past, it's always been to the mayor's discretion to appoint somebody to a committee. There is no open process to apply. As a lot of these committees too are strictly volunteer, much like the Community Relations Committee. But we have to think outside the box. And I do have them posting every committee on our website, exactly what it entails, where to go in the charter to find that committee. And then we will take an application process or an interest process. But really, it has always been up to the mayor's discretion. To be fair, I would like to be fair and open it up to as many people as I can. And certainly we are going to try to put it on the website. However, I will tell you, we'll probably get a lot more traction putting it in the neighborhood news and out on some of the social media platforms that are out there. So bear with me, we're trying, we're doing the best we can. I'm working with pretty much limited resources. And to be honest with you, I've been pretty busy here in the office since February 1st. So I will try to make that a priority for you and try to get it going as soon as I can.
And I appreciate that. And I completely respect that you want to make it fair. My concern is it wasn't fair with Cliff Kelly. How did he get appointed when no one else knew that the position was available? And I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to, I don't want to go back and forth, but that's my point, is that wasn't fair. And there were people before him that were asking about openings and no information was shared. And so that's the concern. That's the wrong with this situation. It's not Cliff Kelly. It's the way that it was handled.
Chairman, time.
And just the hope is that
Ms. Leonard,
yes,
we got
yes.
your point. Your 5 minutes are coming close. I'll give you a couple seconds to wrap up.
So that's the main point, is it was a wrong. And how do we correct that? I hear everybody saying ways that we can address that and ways that we can correct that. The question is that going to be done, or is it just words? So thank you.
No, it's not just words, Ms.
To be
Leonard.
honest with you, there was more than one applicant or one person who expressed to me that they were interested in that rec board. And obviously they searched the charter to find out that board needed a appointment. So, or they inquired about it. Two of the other individuals I thought were not very qualified for it. So, what we're going to try to do is make it a little bit more transparent. Again, I'm doing the best I can to try to make it fair and try to get it out there. So I apologize if you don't feel that way. And again, I'm doing the very best that I can. It's got to be different than it used to be, and I'm working on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. Anybody else?
Chairman,
Who am I speaking to?
Councilman Blake.
Yes.
Lawrence Lane has his hand up.
Mr. Lane, you have your 5 minutes on the floor. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lawrence Lane. My address is 14908 Rockside Road, but I operate a business at 9812 Garfield Boulevard. It's called the Wine Down Bistro. The reason that
are you a member, sir?
Pardon?
Are you a resident of Garfield Heights?
No, I'm not. But one of the reasons that I wanted to make a comment, I just wanted to thank Councilman Dudley for basically supporting me in the Black History program. That was my original intent. I just really wanted to come there. And then just the thing, pretty much all of Garfield, for just the support that I've received with different businesses that I've had in Garfield. I used to own the Basque Entertainment Complex, and I really don't know your chief, the fireman that was involved when I had a fire there, but he was really supportive and helped me through that. But one of the things that I did find interesting was a letter that was written dealing with the mayor coming to my restaurant and buying a Polish boy. I got to say this, okay? We opened up the Wind Down Bistro back in March of last year. We have struggled to just stay afloat. So I think that his coming into my restaurant, I don't even believe that he knew I was African American, to tell you the truth. I posted in a neighborhood news, and that's what he came in. He said, "I seen your ad in the neighborhood news, and I thought I'd buy a Polish boy." I thank him for that. I don't know how this got misconstrued to being something that I really don't believe it was intentionally, to support me because I was African American. He wanted to eat something good. I got good food there. So I want to thank him too. I really think he was genuine. He sat down. We had a very good conversation. I like him. I think Mayor Burke is an individual that really cares about Garfield, and I support that. But just with him just even mentioning that, it increased the volume of my business. And I thank him again for that, because so many times we struggle out here. So I think something that was so positive, how it turned negative, that kind of hurt me. But I like to thank all of the residents and everybody from Garfield Heights for just accepting us and just being supportive, because we need it. And especially, Dudley, you've always been there from day one, okay? The previous mayor, he came over to my spot. We actually allowed them to put a camera on one of the poles that was located on my property when I owned it over there. So I've always been involved with Garfield. I really like just the way that, you guys have supported us. And again, I really don't feel that Mayor Burke I don't think his intent was, with the letter being said, the letter I thought was kind of political actually. But again, I don't know that, but I'm hoping that we all understand we are part of one race, and that's the human race. And that's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Lane,
yes.
I want to comment. Your French fries are better than McDonald's.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else wishing to speak?
Mr. Chairman, Mark's iPhone has his hand raised.
Whoever you are, you got the floor. State your name and address for the record. Oh, there we go. I see it.
Hey, how you doing there? Hi, my name is Mark Sprouse. I'm at 10806 Grace Avenue. My concern is, I've been a resident of Garfield Heights for 4 years now. I've worked in Garfield Heights for a good 6 years. I ended up moving here because of where I work. My going through the community and, dealing with, the boundaries of my property, I'm always picking up this trash. The town is, I hate to say it, guys, but it's dirty. It looks really dirty. And granted, I'm used to accommodations from Lakewood, Ohio, where I used to be, but I chose to move to Garfield Heights. I know, we're apples and oranges here. Lord knows, our councilwoman has tried, with the businesses around here, trying to get that cleaned up, doing trash pickup days, but it's just not this Ward 4. It's the whole community. I just, I don't see any improvement in this. And I actually sent, Mayor Burke an email this evening. It was so nice out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out and, clean up my property. Now, mind you, I don't do this just every once in a while. I do this, whenever it's nice weather. I was so disgusted by the amount of things. Just not restaurant trash. I've had feminine hygiene products. I've had, prophylactics. needles, busted beer bottle or busted whiskey bottles. I found open containers of alcohol. I don't know how that's going on, how people are able to, walk around with open containers with alcohol and toss them all through my ivy beds. But I did send, a picture over, and I mean, it was ridiculous. I just cleaned up in January, and it's all the time. And, I live on the corner of Grace and Turney, and Lord knows when I'm out there on Turney, it's like life or death sometimes, trying to clean something up out there because of the speed of traffic that's going so fast. But I just, what's going on with this? Is this ever something that's going to be resolved? I mean, even on my way to work, going down McCracken and, there on Broadway underneath the underpass, it's just littered with trash all the time. And that's my concern, with the amount of taxes we pay for this community, it shouldn't look like this.
Mayor, do you want to address that or you want me to?
No, I can address it. We are actually in the process with working with Court Community Service to go out and handle some of those. Last year, it was tough with COVID. They didn't go out. I have also addressed it with some of the businesses around town by having somebody within our organization, such as the building inspector, go out and address it with the businesses. However, I agree with you. There's a lot of trash. I have it, floating around by my place too, right off the expressway on I-480 there. You just really wish people would be considerate enough to pick up and not throw their trash out. And I'm not sure in this day and age we can control everyone. But I did get your email this evening. I will have somebody go out to that area, look at it, and try to assess it.
Well, Mayor, I mean, I've already picked it up. I mean, you've seen the amount of garbage in one of the photos I sent. And it's just not from, I'm saying here, just from the litter that's being, from people. On trash day, I mean, every Monday night I take out my trash container, and I know every Tuesday night when I bring in that hopper, I got to pick up trash that was probably left, that spilled out of trash containers, and the collections people don't pick it up. I mean, I shouldn't be picking up, pierogi boxes and, bottles of, food items out of my yard and off the curb. I mean, it's just,
I agree 100% with you. I mean, but, we can't, the only way we can stop somebody is if we see them litter. And when they litter, they're going to get a ticket. That's the only way we can stop them. You wake up in the morning and it's there. I don't know what else we can do to prevent that from happening. Certainly the city doesn't have it in the budget to hire people to go out and clean up. We can ask our service guys to do it, but they're gearing up for the grass cutting season. There's a lot to be done here. And we will try to get it addressed as much as we can. The only thing I can ask from residents and from the people passing through our community is that they help keep this place a lot cleaner place. I mean,
yeah, because the civic pride is definitely not there. I mean, we've got several businesses here that have, filthy sidewalks. You can't get through, there's trash in their lots. I mean, it's an ongoing thing.
We have heard you, and I got your emails. I did see them come through. The only reason why I didn't click on them is because I am on this meeting and I didn't want to drop off of this meeting to go look at them. But I can assure you, I will get to you tomorrow or Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
we'll get it squared away.
I mean, I try to keep my property very nice and add a nice incentive to this community. And like I said, I want to do my best where I can. And definitely, if they do have some committees on something like that, I definitely would work with my councilwoman here. Be more than happy to help address this issue.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
And I appreciate your concern. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you.
Jason?
Mr. Chairman, Victor Torres has his hand raised.
Mr. Torres, you have the floor. State your name and address. And I see your hand up, Kevin McHenry, is it? I see your hand up. Okay, Mr. Torres, you have the floor next.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. First off, Victor Torres, 12900 Woodward Boulevard. And there's just been some troubling and unneeded negative attention that seems to be, coming about, within our community, local government and stuff like that. First off, we have a councilwoman in Ward 4 that is currently under investigation from the federal government for bribery from the 2020 election. Please note that this is an extremely serious charge in which sheds Garfield Heights in a negative light and gives the perception that the entire city government is corrupt.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Torres,
Yes.
can you substantiate these claims?
It is from the Epoch Times article, and that the fact that the Ohio State Attorney General David Yost's department is in the middle of the investigation.
So this is fact that you can prove.
It's
Not
printed.
just a newspaper article.
Yep, it's a newspaper article, and David Yost's office is investigating.
But I mean, you could prove that David Yost is investigating this person.
That is from the article that I can provide to you if need be.
Yeah, because we don't want to open Miss Davis up to slander or anything. I mean, if this is true,
Not trying to
slanderous,
slander.
okay.
But we can also move on. Secondly, we also have that same councilwoman from Ward 4 that is in possible violation of Section 9 of the city charter. Qualifications of members of the council. Please note, for the sake of time management, that the members of council cannot hold any other public office or public employment except if you are the notary public, member of the state militia, or in the Reserve Corps of the United States. This charter was put into place and follows the Ohio Constitution to prevent corruption and collusion that might be committed by a public official and also holding public employment. For possible employment through the city of Cleveland or any subsidiary of the city of Cleveland is in direct violation of the city charter. May I suggest there should be some sort of investigation for the matter, and that should be handled in the matter of utmost importance for the integrity of the city's rules and regulations. Thirdly, I would like to bring to light the lack of integrity and blatant passive aggression toward her peers. Using her race as intimidation against members of the community and our local government. Her behavior will shed unwanted negative attention for the city and will cause businesses from coming to our city and remain in our city. I am a person of color, as there are many persons of color that do live in our city, and in all shades of the spectrum. She has repeatedly used this race card to leverage decisions instead of helping people of all races to improve our city. Lately, this councilwoman has also aligned herself with the candidate for council of Ward 6, Renee Bolton, into using the same race-baiting tactics and racial intimidation within her ward. She was extremely displeased with the appointment of Frank Tagliarini to become Ward 6 councilman. We all need to understand that the decision was strictly based on experience, conduct of character, and who was the best suited to operate the office position. Renee has repeatedly used race as a factor in her appointment. I have challenged her to provide publicly what qualifications she had that would make her a better candidate for the appointment of that position.
Mr.
She
Torres,
has
can I hold you
declined to
for,
comment.
could I stop you for 1 minute? Mr.
Yes, sir.
Vaughn, what's our time on that?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 minutes.
He has 2.5 minutes left?
Yep.
Okay. You have
All
2.5
right.
minutes, Mr. Torres.
I've got about 45 seconds left, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
She has also insinuated recently that the mayor was only selecting people of color for particular committees rather than the qualifications of their character. She seems to continue to contradict and to create chaos and negativity within the local government. We as citizens cannot let this happen, and Ms. Bolton is not fit for office or running for office. And I'll close by Martin Luther King quote, is that I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation and that will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the conduct of their character. Now, as a minority, I have been pretty successful in my profession by not using my skin color or nationality to intimidate someone into a decision, but have used my conduct, my character, and my hard work to be able to be the best candidate for that job. Now, if Ms. Bolton would take MLK's advice and stop using her racial intimidation. And Ms.
Mr.
Davis will
Chairman.
resign from her position
Mr.
and
Torres,
remove
could you
her
please
name
wrap
from the
up?
mayor voice. Garfield Heights will be on a clear road back for progress and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Torres, before you hang up or blank out, you do realize that this is being recorded and Ms. Davis has access, our Councilwoman Davis has access to this. And if anything comes of this, it's a matter of record.
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
like I said, we have articles and
Okay.
stuff
Just
like
as long
that.
as you can prove what you say, because our law
absolutely.
director is on the line too. So,
Thank you.
Shayla, do you have anything you want to say?
Mr. Chairman, I guess my response is that it seems like a blatant racial attack against me. Yes, I am a Black woman, and I proudly announce that I'm a Black woman, and clearly the community can see that. However, after being elected in 2019, I have served every resident, not only in Ward 4, but this entire community. I've never dealt with you before. I've never actually had a conversation with you. You've never picked up the phone and called me. And if you're on Woodward, you would be in Ward 7, I believe. So you've never reached out to me for any support. Perhaps you're in Ward 6. It's not my ward, so I'm not 100% correct. But the things that you said are blatant slander. And so those things will be dealt with at a later time. But I do appreciate your comments and your ability to speak before the entire community about how you feel about a person that you've never personally met before. Thank you.
Thank you, Shayla. Jason?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Renee Bolton has her hand up.
Okay, don't forget Kevin and Mr. Kevin McHenry had his hands up too. I think he took it down. Okay, Ms. Bolton, you have the floor. Please state your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Renee Bolton. My address is 5749 Turney Road. I had a couple of things that I wanted to address. First of all, regarding the community service page on the website, I understand that the website is under construction. However, this is a very easy fix to just remove that link to that page that is so offensive until the whole website can be redone the way that you want it to be done. I don't understand why this is such a big issue. It seems like a minor fix to me. Additionally, it was never addressed that I placed a formal records request for all of the committees so that, like Mr. Kelly, more people could get involved in what's going on in our community. So, Mr. Kelly, I apologize if you feel like I was insinuating that you were only handpicked because you were a person of color. What I am asking is for everyone to have an opportunity to be on these committees. I don't see what's wrong with that. And to say, Mr. Burke, go search the charter. I have looked at the charter and I do see the committees that are there, but that's not telling me which committees have vacant seats. And I made a formal written records request over 2 weeks ago and still have not heard anything. Yet you sit in this meeting tonight and you tell us you knew in December which seats were open, which ones you were going to fill, but I've been waiting for weeks to get the same information and have not been provided it. And I don't understand why. Finally, I also want to address why the residents were not made aware of the seats that were open. Just as Mr. Kelly was able to call your office, Mr. Burke, and ask you about these seats, as Ms. Leonard mentioned, many people have already asked about several seats and are not being told. I feel like this is a way to keep perpetuating the appointment of handpicking people that you want in specific positions. That is what our issue is. It's not, is Mr. Kelly the best person for this position? I don't even know him. So I'm not attacking his character or anything like that, or his ability to do this job. He may be the best person for this position. However, we're talking about fairness for all residents of the community. And regarding Mr. Torres, you know, never mind, I'm not even going to waste my time addressing that. But that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Bolton.
Mr. President, if I can just add something here, Ms.
Mayor,
Bolton,
you have the floor.
I'm sorry you feel that way, and certainly I will check into why you haven't got the public records request that you asked for. As far as me knowing December 31st, how many people I needed to appoint, those what I said was those terms termed out on December 31st, 2020. That Mayor Kalova felt it necessary to see that I appoint the people, and since being sworn into office on February 1st, to be fair, I've had a month and 1 week to address these. And if I may, I would love to ask for a little bit more time in order to do so, especially if I'm trying my best to see to it that it is a process that's fair for everyone. As far as the link on the court community service, I will ask them to take that down, that link on your behalf. However, you know, we do have to have community service in our city. It's something that we sign up program with, and it's something that benefits our city. So I certainly hope that taking that down doesn't impede any process we may have with the court community service. But I want you to know I hear what you're saying, and I will do my best to try to address it. Thank you.
Can I just clarify one thing here? I just want to say, Mr. Burke, I didn't ask you personally for this information. I went through the proper channels and I requested the information from the proper departments, which is not your responsibility. It's the responsibility of the city to respond to the citizens. So I am not on this call saying Matt Burke didn't respond to my email and send me the information that I needed. What I'm saying is that the city should be more responsive to the residents in this city when we make formal record requests for information that is supposed to be available to the public. And there is no reason why we should not have access to that information. You're the one who brought up, you know, when I got into office, I did this and I do that and all. I get it. You're in a new job. I get it. But each person who's responsible for their individual department should also be doing their jobs.
And I agree with that, Ms. Bolton. And I will, ultimately, it does come to my desk. It does come to my responsibility. And I will get with Tim Riley and everyone to find out.
May I comment on this?
Mr. Riley, go ahead.
I have been working on your request. I actually have the financial information you requested ready to go. And I was waiting to see what was going to happen with some of these positions because I figured you'd want an updated list. However, I will send you all the information tomorrow. It will not be complete, but I will give it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Renee. Jason, I would like to have Mr. Kevin McHenry be next. He's been waiting so patiently. Mr. McHenry, you have the floor. I am saying McHenry, right? Turn your mic on. Unmute yourself.
Yes. Thank you there, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, McHenry, thank you. The floor is yours. Please state your name and address.
Kevin McHenry, my wife Tamika McHenry, 12108 Henia Circle, that is in the city of Garfield Heights. We have a brief announcement, if you will. We appreciate being in this meeting. We were invited by Councilman Dudley because we wanted to share something that could be very beneficial and impactful to the Garfield Heights community. I am the minister of Garfield Heights Church of Christ. We have had the opportunities, my first lady here, we've had the opportunity to serve the city in the Thanksgiving giveaway, of which we gave away approximately about 80 to 90 bags to Garfield Heights City citizens. Well, this coming Saturday, we are partnering with Walgreens, and we are offering the vaccination shots. And so we want the Garfield Heights citizens to be the first to know. We want to make sure that they have access to these vaccinations. Have been kind of difficult to obtain. They're scarce and where people can go and get them at. Well, this coming Saturday, my wife is going to share a word with you since we only got 5 minutes jointly. She's the expert in all of this. She is a DON of University Hospital. She's director of nursing, University Hospital. So she has some information that she wants to share with the community as well.
We are just pleased to announce that the Garfield Heights Church of Christ has collaborated.
Could you speak a little bit louder, please?
Thank you for allowing
There you
us
go.
to have
There you
this
go.
time here. We are pleased to announce that the Garfield Heights Church of Christ has collaborated with Walgreens to combat our fight against COVID-19. As you all know, many people have lost the battle to COVID-19, and we are in hopes that the vaccination, which it has already been proven to decrease the numbers of people who are becoming positive with COVID-19. What Walgreens is going to do for us is to make the vaccination available to the community, making it accessible to all of our residents at Garfield Heights and the inner cities of Cleveland, especially to our seniors who have not been able to get out their homes and have access to the vaccination, and to our minorities who have not been well represented with receiving the vaccination. People can get registered for this vaccination by going to our website at garfieldhtscoc.com.
Say it again.
garfieldhtscoc.com. And it's a very simple registration, probably 3 clicks. And this would allow for them to get the vaccination. Once they register, they just show up at our address to get their vaccination. And right now we're temporarily at 3304 East 126th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120, and that's off of Kinsman. We're hoping that you all can spread this word throughout our community so that our residents can get vaccinated. It's been very difficult. Even at university hospitals, we've been limited with the amount of vaccinations that we are able to disperse. But Walgreens has made it very accessible, and they're willing to vaccinate as many people as we can get to register. And they must register by Wednesday, this Wednesday, 8 a.m.
There won't be any walk-ins, so you really have to register. We're excited about working with the Garfield Heights community. We love Garfield Heights. I'm a Bedford Heights alumni. I'm glad to be a citizen of Garfield Heights. I've been working with Councilman Dudley. I had the opportunity to meet with the previous mayor on a few occasions, Chief K and Sergeant. I've met with them also in different discussions in different arenas. So we're just excited about being residents of Garfield and being able to do something for the Garfield Heights community. Again, go to our website. Councilman Dudley has my information. You can call us personally, but to register, and it gives you all the qualifications on the website, 60 years of age. But this is, we were talking about earlier, the fire department and the police department, you don't have to be 60 years of age. We're going to make sure you get it 16 years of age if you're a healthcare worker or
a school
worker,
funeral service workers. So for all of our funeral homes, anybody who works in the funeral homes, as long as they're 16 years of age, they can come and get vaccinated. Our law enforcement and correction officers can come and get vaccinated. And any healthcare worker who was not able to get their vaccination in round 1 can come and get vaccinated. You do not have to have insurance. If you don't have insurance, that's okay. You would still get vaccinated.
I heard Mayor talking about reaching out to the seniors. Excellent opportunity to get these seniors out, those that want to be vaccinated. Again, no force if people are not comfortable or they're not secure in the idea, but anybody that wants it, hey, the door is open. Garfield Heights communities, that's what we're all about. Again, my name is Minister Kevin McHenry. This is First Lady Tamika, and we're just glad to have the opportunity to speak with all you great persons of council, chairman, mayor, chief, Councilman Dudley and all the rest, all the newly appointees. We're grateful and congratulations to all those who are taking the seat. Ashley, we've been working very closely with Ashley Thomas as well, and we thank her for her support and her contribution to us as well. And so
McHenry, we're coming in at a time.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. McHenry, I have a question. What,
Yes.
do you know what type of vaccine you will be handing out?
Yes, it's going to be the Moderna. And we will get them vaccinated for their second vaccination at the day that they come and get their first one. Yes, it would be the Moderna vaccination.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that information. Keep up the good work.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is Mayor Burke. Mr. and Mrs. McHenry, I applaud you for this. I commend you for it. I have been, my assistant has been trying to get in contact with the Public Health Department just to offer our Civic Center as a building that they could utilize for the vaccines. I certainly will give you a call tomorrow. I have your information for the Community Relations Committee, but I want to reach out to you tomorrow because I do have a call with seniors on Wednesday, and I'd love to pass this information on to them. I'll reach out to you tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Blake.
Giselle Gaynor had her hand up for a very long time.
Giselle, you have
want to give her the opportunity, and then after her, I'd like Dr. Tanisha Mack has her hand raised up.
Mrs. Giselle, please, you have the floor. State your name and address, please.
Hi, my question or my comment was actually.
Name and address, please.
What's your name?
No,
Giselle?
that's not my name. No, I got it. It's Giselle Gaynor, and my address is 4957 East 81st Street, here in Garfield. I am a resident. And my concern was already addressed, and so I actually took my hand down. It too was about the committees. But I think that we've already addressed it, and the transparency is coming. So I'm sure that that's appreciated by others that are interested in the community, because like Mr. Kelly, I was proactive in seeking out how I could help. And we've come to a resolution, but there wasn't a lot of information. So I understand where Mr. Kelly is coming from as far as being proactive, but I also understand where I think it was Melissa was coming from with the letter. I just wanted to share that piece, but I think everybody can look forward to the transparency to come. That was one piece. And then the second piece, really quickly, is just wanted to get clarity as a resident. I've been calling in here a little over a month now to the council meetings, but I want to understand the clarity of what letters are to be read and which ones aren't, because just being new to the process, I call in to understand what's going on in the community because it's important to me. But you know, I'm just trying to get some clarity there. Thank you.
In my opinion, this is my opinion. The letters that I would like to hear are something that's going to be you've talked to a council representative and you're writing this in reference to a problem. Now, when you address the council person, he or she should be directing you to the committee that letter should go to, and the action should be taken there. It's nice to have it written on the council floor, but again, then we read it again at the committee meetings. These Zoom meetings are all publicized. Like I says, we are touching more people with these Zoom meetings. My dissatisfaction tonight was that I voted no on it, because we're going to be discussing this next week, and we're going to read the letter again, and it's going to be open to the people. We would have saved that time for the other two letters, and the other two letters had merit in my book. But all three, I feel we should have waited till next week to read that letter, but that's my opinion. And, you know, I went with the vote of council. They says 3, and I respect that. I mean, I am not a dictator, believe me.
So let me just clarify, because I think that was a valid question, and it was in no way meant to be an attack.
I didn't take it as that. I didn't take it as that.
Okay, good. But I just wanted to know, because I know last week we had some, I think it was 1 or 2 letters written. But you know, when you said don't read any of the 3, I did take that a little bit offensive as a resident, because again, this is how I get my information. Right now, I know the website is down, not bashing Garfield. I know you all are working on that, and it's a lot of moving pieces and parts, but I'm now able to be more engaged in the community, and this is how I get my information. So I just, wanted to understand. And so I think I'm pretty clear on it. So if somebody writes a letter, as long as it's not on the a future set meeting, it can be read at this council meeting, correct?
That is exactly right. Thank you very
Okay.
much for understanding that. And thank you. I'm used to criticisms. I've been married 52 years. Or 50 years. So I'm used to criticism. So thank you.
No problem.
Dr. Tanisha Mack is next. Jason?
Correct.
Dr. Tanisha Mack, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I just wanted to make a couple comments regarding some of the things that were said. Mark, I agree with Mark when he talked about how the city look. Everywhere you go, it is a lot of trash everywhere. I'm constantly on my street picking up trash, and I do believe that we should utilize the diversion program to help with elevating, through the process to get this taken care of. I know that, a lot of people don't want to, pick up trash or things of that nature, but if we want to have better, have the city look better, we have to come together as a whole to actually start doing these things. And I do believe, like what Matt Burke was saying, that we should definitely utilize the diversion program to actually pick up the trash around the community. And I do agree with Melissa, and I understand that, things have been done at the mayor's discretion, and I just do believe that it should be a better process. And I do agree that I am glad that you are, working with this and trying to take things in a different direction. And also, when it comes to accountability, I've noticed this. I've been around for a while in politics, and accountability is something that I've seen is lacking in our city council or our overall city. A lot of people don't take accountable, and I'm not one to talk because I've done things in my past, but I took an accountability for everything that I've done. And I expect our leaders in our community to take accountability for the things that they have done too. So that's just my whole spiel on everything that has been going on over this last almost 3 hours on this call. It's a lot of people taking no responsibility, and I do see a lot of lack of accountability. And it's time for people to start taking accountability for the things and the roles that they play in Garfield. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
It's Barbara. May we have
Barbara.
Dr. Mack's address?
Dr. Mack.
5205 East 119th Street.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
I just want to make one small comment on that, Dr. Mack. One of the worst days that we have throughout the city is trash day. And our service department, if we complain to them, they go out and they make sure that the truck didn't dump all this trash on the road. But the other problem we have is people stop for a red light and put the McDonald's bag out. They drive by the front of your house, throw the can on your lawn because they know you're going to pick it up. But nobody goes and cleans and I say polices because that's what we use in the service. Police is in front of their house on garbage day. The trash can's out there already. Pick it up, put it in the trash can. I agree with you. We have that problem in the city, but we have to have accountability from the residents too. I know it's our job to set this here forward and get it in motion, but the residents have to take a little bit of pride. The people that blow grass in the street, our service department has to go clean the sewers. The people that blow the leaves in the sewer, our service department has to take care of it. That tree falls down, they leave it fall in the street. Our service department has to take care of it. Where's the accountability from the citizens?
Well,
There's a
that's
lot
what
of
I was
people.
saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm bringing it out right now to Dr. Mack because we have a great following right here. We have 54 people still listening. We never had it at the council meetings, and this is great. So I'm agreeing with you, but I just want to get that message out there. Clean up in front of your house. If everybody cleaned up in front of their house or their business, this place would look really good. So, and with that, I rest. Mr. Blake, is there anybody else?
I am not seeing anyone at this moment. Actually, Mark Sycon has.
I saw his hand up down there at the bottom of the screen. Mr. Sycon, you have the floor. I can't hear you, Mark. Nothing yet, Mark. Let's see. Jason, is he blocked out on his?
He's not muted.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Call it in, please. Let's see if I can get a hold of this. Okay, give me a second here. Okay, contacts. S. Service Department. Contacts. Do I have you now, Mark?
You have reached the City of Garfield Heights Service.
I don't have your private phone number, Mark. Mayor Burke, could you call Mark Sycon on his phone so he has a comment? He's our service director.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Mark, I got you on the call here.
Yeah, I was
We
on
hear
my
you
phone.
now, Mark.
I have on my computer and then my phone. I don't know what happened. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to address Ms. Tanisha Mack and Mark, and I do agree with them that we have plenty of issues with the garbage. I'll be posting some some snapshots coming from core community of the amount of trash they do pick up and what they're doing daily. I have instructed my service department to keep the street sweeper out almost every day that we can. I do believe that trash is a huge problem. And unfortunately, it's twofold. Obviously, there's people that must be trucking it out. And also, I believe that the garbage company may not be in as much as they should into the hoppers. And I'm going to have a discussion with them. I can assure you we'll be working on this, and it's a priority, and we will take care of it. Okay?
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Mr. Blake, do I have anybody else?
Thank you.
I am not seeing anyone.
Okay, if there's no one else, we will go to miscellaneous, to council reports. We'll be starting with Mr. Chuck Donahue. Chuck, unmute, please.
Okay, sorry. I was shocked being first. I really don't have a lot. I appreciate all the input from the letters, and I personally will try to do better. If there's my phone number's out there, if you have any questions for me, I will truly try to answer them. Other than that, let's see. I want to again congratulate Mr. Kelly. The special council meeting this Wednesday, I believe it's going to be at 6:30.
Thursday.
Thursday, it was changed.
It's the 11th, I believe. Yeah, am I right, Barb? Or no, not the 11th. Hold on, it's the 18th.
No.
It's the 18th.
No, I'm talking about the special council meeting, not the legislative committee meeting, the one called by the mayor.
It has to be rescheduled.
It's been canceled.
Okay, it's been canceled. It's going to be rescheduled. My apologies. Okay, then the only other thing I have to say is, don't forget St. Patrick's Day next Wednesday, the 17th. It's a day everybody can be Irish if they would like to. With that, everybody have a good, safe life.
Thank you, Chuck. Okay, then I'll be next. I'll keep it short and brief. Again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that these Zoom calls are opening up more and more. In the past, we didn't have this communication channel. We didn't have the transparency that we are working for. And I commend our mayor. He is working towards this, plus handling all the business of the city and working with the IT department to get all this stuff done. I have no problem with that. I also want to say that the way you say the good old boy network in the past, well, in the good old boy network, we had 3 people at the council meeting. We picked people that we knew that were interested in this because we didn't have a venue to put this out other than the neighborhood news. And most people didn't read the neighborhood news years ago, maybe even a year ago. They're starting to pick up on this paper. But we were picking people that we knew, like Mr. Tagliarini, construction work, his own business, took care of finances, ran the books for the business. He has experience. I mean, I know a lot of people have other experiences, but this is what we build on. And we build on the experience and knowledge that we have of the people. Now we have this Zoom meeting. We could touch everybody in the city. Everybody doesn't have a computer or an iPhone, but we can get out to everybody in the city. We have the avenue now, people. Please use it. I mean, I probably can look at this screen down here and see these 53 people that were 62 an hour ago, and there'll be the same 62 people next week. But that's good. It's 62 people that are getting the message out. And this is good. This is great technology. Let's use it for what it's worth. Let's not use it as a hammer. Let's use it as a handshake. And I would like to congratulate Dr. Lucas on his, Reverend Lucas on his 80th birthday. It's an accomplishment. I'm hoping to make 75 in a couple of years, but and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody, even the gentleman in the green jacket and the other one in the green tie. And thank you, Mrs. McHenry, for that great information. That is very good for the community, especially for our seniors. Thank you so very much. And with that, I will relinquish the floor to my learned colleague, Councilwoman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank everyone for sitting through this meeting. It was kind of lengthy tonight. I really don't have much outside of, we were trying to put the work session meeting on this Wednesday. However, I have an appointment, and so we're looking to reschedule. Mayor Burke, if you want to do that on Thursday, it is perfectly fine with me. I just could not cancel what I had already previously committed to. That's the only thing. So that's fine with me, but you can let me know. Thank you to the McHenrys. That is a beautiful thing. I do have some residents who have reached out to me, some seniors in the last few days about getting the vaccination. And so I will definitely be reaching out to you guys. The information that I found out on Friday when I spoke to our state representative, Stephanie House, was that on March 17th, the Wolfstein Center will be offering 6,000 COVID vaccination testing a day for 8 weeks, and they're going to be open for 12 hours. You can sign up online, you can call the number, or you can just go in as a walk-in. So the McHenrys offer is, in addition to that, they have not opened up people registering for that at this moment, but it is posted in the Ward 4 community group. And as soon as I know, once that the registration opens up, I will send it out in my email blast. That is really all that I have. Everyone be safe, and let's do something better to edify ourselves and our community. Because if we truly believe in Garfield Heights, we should have a clear understanding that it takes all of us to represent this community well and support one another for doing what's right. The other things are just negativity, and they continue to keep us distracted, and we're not moving forward. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next, we will move on to Mr. Frank Tagliarini.
Thank you. I'd like to start off by thanking all the people that have, the citizens and the council members that have reached out to me, and congratulations on my appointment to city council. In my first week, I found many different complaints by people, concerns, be a better word. But I did find that there's basically just a handful of small complaints that everybody has the same perspective of. I think if we come together as a community, we can handle these. Have a lot of faith in the council and the city to take care of these problems in the future, such as garbage collection, the garbage on the street, things of that sort. I'd like to close by asking everybody to have a very safe St. Patrick's Day. Drink what you'd like, but don't drive. Please don't drive if you're drinking. We don't need anything like that. And with that, you have my final. Thank you, all.
Mr. Blake, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to start by thanking Councilman Dudley for his Black History program. As in years past, he does an outstanding job with that. And, you know, I just can't say enough good things about that. I want to congratulate Mr. Dudley for being voted Council President Pro Tem this evening. I think it is overdue. Councilman Dudley and I have a lot more conversations than people know. Some of them are business, some of them are not. I always appreciate his camaraderie when we are able to discuss things. Again, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Kelly on his appointment to the Recreation Committee. As a Recreation Chairman, I look forward to working with you in the future, you and Mr. Burke in the Recreation Department. In regards to the letters that were read here this evening, a lot of the points have been discussed in terms of committee appointments and things like that. One of the points that I want to address, and I may not be saying it's exactly the way it was in the letter, so I apologize, but you know, there was a comment about city leadership has every intention of shutting down voices of the residents. And I just want residents to know, if you feel that is happening, you can reach out to me. My number is 216-338-7883. My email is at the city website. You can send me a message. One of the things I do know is this council is not perfect. We all know it. We've made some, we can do things better. But we have made every intention of trying to communicate and listen to the residents and things like that. And you know, that in years past may not, the level of communication doesn't compare. I mean, we are doing our best to listen and communicate with the residents. In doing better, you know, we are in a transition period. You know, Mayor Burke had said he's roughly been in office roughly 5 weeks. That means Councilman Nanadovich has only been president roughly 5 weeks. You know, previously I had sent an email to the council and just, you know, express that we need to operate efficiently. And I think we're on the right track. And I know with Councilman Dudley as Council President Pro Tem and Councilman Nanadovich, you know, if we all work together, we'll get there. You know, we have made some mistakes, you know, with the interview process. It wasn't very smooth, but towards the end of it, I think we pulled it together and we're able to conduct the interviews in a professional way. Just to end up with a few things, March 16th at 6 p.m., we'll have a Memorial Day parade meeting. I will send the link out over social media. If anybody wants to participate, you're more than welcome. Please reach out to me. March 24th, I will be holding a community awareness meeting with Councilman Taglerini. Will be again March 24th at 6:30, and we will have someone from the Garfield Heights Historical Society speak and tell us about their organization. My newsletters for Ward 5 went out the first week of February. I am hoping they were received. If anybody needs one or would like one, please reach out to me and I can get one to you if you did not get one. But with that, that's my report for tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blake. Mr. Vaughn, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Michael Dudley, congratulations on your position as pro temp. I think you're going to do an excellent job. And if you need help, please feel free to call me and I'll be more than glad to assist. Mike, you've been a friend since the day I got seated on council. You've helped me in many situations and I've always been appreciative of that. Mr. Taglerini, welcome.
Thank you.
If we're going to be having 3 hours and 15-minute meetings now is going to be your goal since you've been seated, we're in trouble. No, it's a pleasure to have you. Pleasure to have you. And I look forward to working with you. Mr. Kelly, I think you're going to be a great addition to the rec board. I think you're going to start some innovative programs, and I think you're the fresh blood that we need over there, and I welcome you. I want to real briefly say, I welcome the letters, but most of all, I welcome you picking up the phone and calling me and talking to me. And if we can't talk over the phone, we can always get together and meet for coffee and talk. I'm open to listen to anybody. So please feel free to pick up the phone and call. Now some good news. We have not had a Ward 7 block watch meeting since last February. And today I had a conversation with Father Heron, and we're looking at the fact of opening up the pavilion for those meetings starting in late April. I'll announce more as they come along. I want to get these meetings up and going again. I think it's important to the community, and I think it's a great way for us to outreach into the community. And at my block watch meetings, all residents are welcome. When we meet in the pavilion, I'm going to be asking for people to do social distancing and that. I hope in June we'll be able to have our annual cookout. Let's see how this moves forward. But again, I'm looking to open that up the end of April outside in the pavilion. Want to remind people this Sunday morning at 2 o'clock, turn those clocks ahead. I hate the time change as much as many other people, but it's something we have to do. So I don't want to hear that anybody was late for church on Sunday because of it. So let's get that taken care of. Okay, folks? Last but not least, everybody have an enjoyable St. Patrick's Day. I'll be thinking of all of you and I'll be praying for all of you when I attend Mass over at St. Coleman's. Folks, St. Patrick's Day is a celebration for all of us in this country. So please enjoy yourselves, be careful, and if you abide in too much, please Uber or have a close friend bring you home. That's all I have for tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I don't think anybody else has anything to say, do they, Mr. Dudley? The floor is yours, Mr. Dudley.
All right. Hey, first of all, I want to thank Councilman Vaughn for the nomination. And like you say, we go way back in our relationship. We always had a great relationship and we talk a lot, and we always been able to call each other up if we have something we wanted to discuss, whether it's on a professional, whether it's on a personal thing that we want to talk about for the community. And I appreciate all of y'all for the vote to pro tem coming up to the end of my term. Either way, I appreciate it. And like I say, we do try to do the best we can. And I think we do a great job. And what people don't realize, out of all the years I've been here, and Tom has been behind me, and then it was Councilman Mike Manatovich, we have never had a turnover of council like this before. This is really unprecedented. We never had 3 members elected and another member move on and move up to be the mayor. We lost 4 members of council. So we can expect the same performance that you got when you had like at least maintaining 5 veterans at every time. And I want to welcome the new member of council, Councilman Frank Tagliano. Frank in Ward 6. I want to welcome him. And like I say, it's going to take a minute. It don't mean that we're not going to get the job done. You cannot learn how to be a council person in a year. It's virtually impossible. I really came in. I had been to meetings prior to being elected to office. I came to meetings. I watched the council. I talked to the council members. Most of the time with Vince Leota. He was a person I talked to a lot before I came into office. He was a great guy. But you can't pick it up. And sometimes you can't expect somebody to do something in 1 year when other people have been around for years. It's something you got to learn. And it is a process. So sometimes when you don't get exactly what you may have got years ago, or you're expecting change overnight, sometimes change don't happen overnight. It don't mean that nobody's not working to bring better change. And I say with this group I got now is, I would say honestly, is a great group, is a good group of members of council I'm working with now, you know, and like I say, Jason said, he calls me sometime, I call him, we run across each other, we have a meeting, whether if I stop where he lived or he came over where I live, and the communication is good. And I said another thing to that, I think when members of council were sick or not feeling good, I know for me, everybody called me. They would ask me what I needed, something I could do, you know, and I appreciated that. So just because we had differences on the floor, don't mean that when we're off the floor, that's a different story. It's about business and it's about personal. And it's tough to separate the two, but you have to learn to separate the two. Otherwise, you're never going to get nothing accomplished as a council. It's absolutely impossible to bring it to the floor. You got to separate the two. Sometimes our decision is not the decision you want, but we represent a lot of people, 4,000 and something people in the ward, and not just one. But what I do want to say as I get into this here, I want to mention something. The mayor and I actually have a meeting, but the meeting was brought forth by Pastor Faulkner, myself, Pastor Snell, and we reached out to the mayor. We told him about a company where a gentleman has actually flew in tonight. He's already here. And we're going to be meeting tomorrow and with the mayor. And it's about giving free COVID tests to everybody in Garfield Heights. If you don't have insurance, you'll be tested. You won't have to leave the city to get a test. We will be discussing for the city to be tested as well as our safety official. I got to take the conversation back to the school, so I'm not going to talk about that yet. And we also want the general public where we will get some locations. And I got to reach out to my buddy Tom Vaughn there. He don't know it yet because he has a great location at St. Monica. But once again, Tom is real involved in the community. And so that's a conversation that is going to happen. But that way we can go and take the tests. It's like a 48 turnaround time, and we can know who's positive, who's not positive. But this ain't something that I do. This is something, my key word is we. I can't get it done if the council people don't participate really. It's going to be hard to do it. The mayor didn't participate. And then, like I say, with Pastor Faulkner and Snell, it's going to get through. So we appreciate that. And that's a meeting. Hopefully the meeting will be good tomorrow. I believe it is. And I believe we can move forward on this. My second thing is, before I get into all the thank yous and stuff, when we talked about diversity, you can't just bring diversity. We got to make sure everybody's willing to accept it. That's the key thing, that they absorb what has been said to them. And I'm going to make everything as brief as possible as I can tonight. Okay, let me flip on around here. And I got to mark it out as I talk about it, people, so be a little patient there and everything. And also, like I say, one thing about the Black History Program, we have never, me and members of council, the mayor and all of, we have never made that political. That is something we have always set free of politics. And, you know, every year I could count on something coming from members of council, you know, no matter how we was having differences, when that time came around, them and their families always had something to give. And that program is not supported with, you know, city money, it's private money. And where, you know, members then gave me checks, they then gave gifts and everything. And, you know, what do you need for the program? What can we give you? And that's always been the key word. And so they have been very supportive of the Black History Program. And like I say, we celebrated our 16th year, but that's not something that Mike Dudley does. That's something that we do as a city. So I'm crediting everybody for helping us make sure that this program is a success every year, and it has been. And I'm gonna get to the thank you, but I really appreciate that, you all, and I want you all to know that, you know. And it's just it's touching to me. I really love this program. It means a lot that it goes. And I need to thank Pastor Johnson and Christian Kingdom Assembly, because the school has been always more than welcome to us. And I thank the school board members and Mr. Saluka and the rest of them, and Mr. Hagee. They has always helped us provide us a venue that we can hold this program and provide it to the city. This year, it wasn't that they didn't provide it. Because of COVID, we had to use a smaller location and we had to permit less people. But council members showing up, they do show up for the program. In the case of former mayor, he has never, ever missed in like 16 years or so. This one he missed. 15 years, even before, he had never missed a program with us at a Black History program since I've been starting. Mayor Vic Clover, he has not missed one of them. And what I wanted to go down here, and it ain't about the order that I mentioned these individuals, you know, and just that I've been scribbling down on my paper and everything and making sure I don't leave nobody out. But I want to say one thing for the school board members. You know, Miss Ashley Thomas, she done really filled in, since I don't have the same individuals that help me with some of the administrative stuff. And some of the guys have been working me, they aging up on me, including myself. But she has stepped in, and I appreciate her, Miss Ashley Thomas, and also Miss Nichelle Daniels. But I want to get to my colleagues who has always been there for me as well. And I want to thank Councilman Manadovich and his wife, you know, Bernie. They have always come through every year. They have had something for us on the program, the raffle off. Can't say enough about Tom Vaughn and his missus. They always been supportive. Regardless of the last minute, they right there. And Jason will make sure he do home deliveries to my house. You know, he shows up at the house. And I know Frank Tagler wasn't aware of this. He actually came to council after the program, I believe, was already started. So I'd like to thank Jason and his wife as well. And I thank Councilman Donahue, because he really found it and made sure he chased me down to make sure that I got it, because I kept forgetting. And I appreciate Councilman Donahue and his wife for making a contribution. The McDonald cards came in handy, guy. People loved them. And also Mayor Burke, he came through and made a contribution as well. And I appreciate it, because that's what made the program work. And as I get down here, I just want to name the sponsors and I'll wrap this up here. I want to thank Mr. Heroes, who's been doing it for years. Metro by T-Mobile. Like I said about Lucas, Mr. Lucas, Jason Lucas and his family, and also his dad and the rest of them and his wife and all of them, they have always been big contributors to the community. I'd like to thank Nancy and John House, and everybody know them, that own the McDonald's up on Turney Road, and also the one that sits up there off Rockside. I want to thank Lorenzo Dog Train, and all these multi-local businesses up on Orchard Avenue, building a new building and making that his headquarters for a training facility. We want to thank Sam Silk, and a new restaurant up there, but been here for a while, but also great food. We got to thank my buddy who showed up tonight also from Wine Down Bistro and stuff, Lawrence, and we call him Larry Lane, for also being a supporter for many years. We have, we don't miss nobody. We have the Open Pantry, which sits in my ward. We got Brown Report News has been a supporter of ours. And also PS Awards, which is located right in Garfield Heights, that made the awards for us. And we got A&H, we got Munchies. God forgive me that I don't forget somebody, that'll never forgive me. And we also got to thank Weldon PC, because Weldon actually helped me put it together and gave me the real support I needed to make sure that everybody could watch. And you can watch it even now on YouTube. And just like the chairman said, this is a new era where you can watch us on council. We never had that many people on council. Well, I tell you, you put all those numbers together, we got more than 1,000 and something people who have watched the program this year. This is a new era, like the chairman said, and this is something we got to consider following into the future. An organization that I started along with a friend of mine, Pastor Snell, what's called CFABC, Send for a Better Community and stuff, that we've been doing programs since 2005. And we used to do the Halloween for the kids to keep them off the streets in the center up there. And Tom Vaughn is aware when he came in office because he's been a contributing factor even on that going back into the days. But we have done that. We have done the Black History, and when we were just at the small community center, and it grew. But once again, I point back that none of this could have been possible without you all. I mean, all of y'all, the businesses, colleagues, the residents in Garfield Heights. So if I miss anybody, forgive me. And last thing I want to mention, and I do want to clear this up. This is reference to a leak that we had at a home on Maple Road. And I really got to clear this up because I think it was something that came up and gave a misconception of me as well as the city also. This home had leaked for a while on Maple Road. When it was warm, it was okay. Some people are aware that I lost, not I, but I say I because we're a family in our ward. But we had a family that actually where a mother and daughter lost their life perfectly walking inside of a crosswalk several years ago. As I saw this water leaking, it was okay when it was warm. But when the temperature dropped, it freezes. And people think you drop salt on ice, it melt. No, it takes the friction when it goes to freezing of the vehicles running on it to activate that salt to melt that ice. We had individuals who were walking from Maple Road past 126. And when they stepped into the crosswalk, the cars were coming up there because it was covered in ice from the home that was leaking. The cars were sliding. And somebody could have been hurt, possibly killed. Vehicle could have collided. So I did pick up the phone and I called the service department and said we had to check that out on that house. But, you know, given the story, it looked like Councilman Dudley and whatever, somebody else just went out and had these people water shut. But let me tell you, I went to the house several times and left my card. I went to the house several times and knocked on the door. But it was months, so maybe a month and a half, 2 months. It was warm when that water started coming out. But I am not going to risk the people's safety and for months at a time, once the freezing come up, to not turn up. I had an obligation for the safety of the people in my community to say we got a leak, we have to do something about it at the house because I can't have an intersection and I can't have nobody hurt and I can't have two cars collide with each other. So what I done, I did my job. And I want to put that out there. If they needed my assistance when I dropped the card, the family could always reach out to me. They chose not to reach out to me. They chose not to call me. So for them to say, hey, Councilman Dudley, the reason why my water was shut off, no. Councilman Dudley isn't. It was ran for quite a while. I'm glad you got it. I appreciate that the senior has the problem fixed. But if I had to do it again, and if I knew about it and they reached out to me, I could provide some assistance. But I am not going to put the safety of the people in jeopardy and overlook something that is a safety concern in our community. So we gotta realize that. And once again, I thank all of y'all for y'all continuing support. And after the mayor and I meet tomorrow, along with the other individuals and the gentlemen that are coming out of California, I believe it's going to be a positive, and I believe that citizens in Garfield Heights, the residents, will not have to leave the city of Garfield Heights to get COVID tested. And if you have no insurance, it makes no difference. If your insurance is not going to pay, it makes no difference. If they're going to pay part of it, you don't have to worry about a deductible. So after the meeting, God bless us. Hey, it's about all of us. It's not about me. And I want to just say thank you. And most of all, guys, I really appreciate y'all nomination and y'all vote of confidence this night. And that's it. I know it was long, Mr. Chairman, but God forgive me, PS award if I forgot anybody on this list. But I do think the Brown report, I think I covered them and the restaurants and everything. And John House, I want to make sure. And Munchies on East 131st has been a long time supporter too. And with that, I say T-Mobile by Diamond Corporation also as well. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I believe it sums it up. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Before we make the motion, Tom, Matt, I have a question for you. Mayor?
Yes.
At the end of this meeting, me being the host, is there anything I have to push or do I end the meeting? Because I don't want to lose everything that was said. Do I just end the meeting and it saves it automatically?
Yes. It should automatically save it to the cloud. Mr. Chairman, if I could just have the floor for a quick second, I'd like to say something.
You have the floor.
You know, I I'm just really disturbed by some of the comments that were made tonight, especially the attack on Councilwoman Davis. You know, I know she happens to be a candidate for mayor, as is myself and a few others on this call. And I will say she does not deserve to be attacked the way she did. I know this is not my meeting. This is a meeting of council of which I'm a guest at, but I just wanted to make it clear that I do not condone and I do not agree with the way she was attacked tonight. I certainly think anybody who gets involved in this city and works hard for the community should at least deserve the respect of not being attacked, especially at a council meeting. And I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
And that's why I said it's being recorded, and Ms. Davis knows that. Mr. Vaughn, do you have something to say for me?
I thought maybe we'd sing some songs or something, but no, that's.
No. I can't hear you, Tom.
I thought we'd sing a few songs and Matt could play his guitar or something, but Mr. Chairman, at this time, could we adjourn this meeting, please?
On the motion by Mr. Vaughn to adjourn this meeting, Barb, would you take the roll call? And I do second it. Barbara?
Did she fall asleep?
I don't know. Maybe she's getting something to drink.
Muted.
Yeah,
Barbara?
you're muted.
Made me thirsty.